Hey Bipsy Squad, welcome back to another episode of Biblically Serious, where we're all about understanding the Bible and owning our faith. Today is the end of our Faith and Work series. It is our final video, and I wanted to make sure I left you guys with some verses that would help you both in your career now and in the future, because the Bible has a lot to say about how we should do work. So let's get into it. Here are 6 verses that should influence your relationship with work. So number 1 is all about having the perspective that work is a gift. Genesis 1:28 says, God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. In this verse, God is talking to Adam and Eve, and it's important to note that God designed and commanded work before we get to the fall. Work is meant to be a good thing. It is meant to bring meaning and charges us as co-laborers with God to help build out the world, both the land and society. Number 2, do the work and trust God for the outcome. Proverbs 16:3 says, commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. This proverb is meant to provide wisdom. It's helping us focus on what we can control, what we do. And in a society, in an American culture, in a society that may be all about hustle, and the more you hustle, the more you can output and the more results you can drive, this verse is kind of turning that concept on its head. It's saying, yes, do the work and do it unto the Lord, but ultimately the outcome of that work is up to God. Number 3, how you do the work matters. So this was kind of like a catch-all phrase because there's a few verses that detail many attributes of how we should have our attitudes at work, how we should be working. Colossians 3:23 is one of those verses. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. In this verse, Paul's originally talking to bond servants. In order to bring that up to modern society, is really all about submitting to the authorities that God has established on the earth, and especially in your life. Being more specifically, that would be like your employer or your manager at your job. This verse should challenge us to not just do what we need to do to please our manager or just get by good enough on an annual review. Instead, it's saying that not only do we need to be obedient and submit to the authorities that God has placed into our lives, ultimately we're going to be held accountable to higher standards and higher commands that God has given us when it comes to how we do work. If God was your boss, how would that change how you showed up to work every single day? We wouldn't be lazy, we wouldn't be unreliable, we wouldn't be dishonest. Another verse that speaks to how we work is in Ecclesiastes. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For there is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol to which you are going. Ultimately, your performance is not based on who you report to or who your earthly master is at this time. Ultimately, our performance is not based on a person, on a manager. Maybe you change jobs and your performance has to change. One thing should stay consistent is how God is commanding us to work, because we are ultimately accountable to a very consistent and faithful God. The next one is don't compare yourself to others. In Galatians, it says, each one should test their own actions, then they can take pride in themselves alone, without comparing themselves to someone else. In this verse, you can think about works as also being just action. So whether you are in your actual physical workplace, your career, or just any space, anything you do, this verse is going to apply to. You are responsible for what you do. That means you can't blame your coworkers, you can't blame your manager, you can't blame others for how you perform, how you show up. And you also just shouldn't compare yourself to others, because God, at the end of your life, at judgment is going to keep you accountable for the things that He has called you to. So it's very important. Don't compare yourself to others. Make sure you carry your own load and do the things that God is calling you to do. And in doing that and not comparing yourself, the benefit of that is that you can take much more pride in your accomplishments. The next one is about setting a godly example at work. Philippians says, "Do all things without grumbling or questioning, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God without blemish in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as light in the world." This verse is clear that we should look different in the workplace than our non-believing coworkers. That means our behavior, our speech should be, as we talked about earlier, above reproach, because we are accountable to a higher standard. I think this verse also gives us an invitation that our workplace could be a place for evangelism. Your coworkers may see a distinction in you and how the ethics that you uphold in getting your work done, and it can be an invitation to have that conversation about why you are different. And last but not least, rest from work is essential. Genesis 2:3 says, "Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it He rested from all the work of creating what He had done." God rested on the seventh day. The creator of the universe, the all-powerful, all-knowing, rested on the seventh day, not because He needed to, but He was modeling for us the rest that we get to experience in Him through His Son, Jesus. Sabbath just allows you to realign and not position or see yourself as being completely self-dependent, that you need to work non-stop in order for things to get done, both at work or in your life. God offers this rest of Sabbath, not just one day of the week, but throughout our entire lives. So rest is about recentering, it's about recharging, and it's about reconnecting with God, who enables us to do the work and drives the results. Hope you guys enjoyed these tips and these Bible verses. I will have them all listed down in the description box below if you guys want to make sure you continue to meditate on this and keep them nearby. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.